In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, honey. Don't you know I can see them starting to start to rise, but it's just a bag of switch.
There are tracks that aren't meant for casual listening. They aren't the happy-go-lucky 3-minute singles that graced the AM airwaves and then vanished into the ether. No, these are journeys, sagas, sonic labyrinths that demand your time and your full attention. They are the compositions designed to feel endless, not in a tiresome way, but in the sense of the infinite, of a self-contained universe opening up before your very ears. From this moment on, I am not just your narrator. I am the memory keeper. I lived through the era when these epics were born, saw them shatter the rules of what a rock song could be. We listened to them on bulky headphones in smoke-filled dorm rooms, on aimless cross-country road trips. Today, we're not just going to rank by length. We're going to rank by ambition, by the power to conjure a world out of pure sound. We will decode, rank, and relive the stories behind 15 of the longest rock songs. Tracks that challenged patience and rewarded us with the deepest of musical experiences. This isn't just a list. This is an archaeological dig into the very soul of rock and roll. Let the journey begin. Number 15. Do You Feel Like We Do? Peter Frampton. We begin this list with an outlier, perhaps a controversial pick. Why a live track? Because Do You Feel Like We Do defines a different kind of endless, not the endlessness of a complex, pre-written structure, but the endlessness of a moment, of spontaneous combustion on stage. The studio original is just over 6 minutes, but the version from 1970 SIX's Frampton Comes Alive is the true legacy. It's a 14-minute behemoth, a testament to the symbiotic power between an artist and his audience. In 1976, America was healing from the scars of Watergate and the chaos of the Vietnam War. We were hungry for something to believe in, something pure and joyous. And Peter Frampton, with his golden locks and radiant smile, gave us exactly that. Frampton Comes Alive wasn't just an album, it was a cultural phenomenon, and its soul was this track. The guitar solo, powered by the talk box, became legendary. It wasn't a technological gimmick, it was the voice of the guitar itself, having a direct conversation with 70,000 screaming fans. This song doesn't have an intricate plot. It is a singular, primal emotion, pure elation. It's endless because you never wanted the party to end. It ranks lowest here because it's more of a jam than a composed epic, but it earns its place for capturing the spirit of an entire era. From the euphoria of a packed stadium, we now travel further back, into the darkness of a Los Angeles studio where one of the heaviest, most hypnotic tracks of the 60s was born.
Come with me, and I'll walk this line.
Number 13. Rime of the Ancient Mariner, Iron Maiden. We leap forward to 1984. Punk had come and gone, and new wave was dominating the charts. But in another corner of the musical universe, Iron Maiden was flying the flag for the new wave of British heavy metal, and they were unafraid of complexity. Rime of the Ancient Mariner, based on Samuel Taylor Coleridge's 18th century poem, was their most audacious statement yet. In a world of 3-minute hits, Steve Harris and company created a nearly 14-minute epic, a metal opera that retold a literary classic. This is a perfect example of progressive metal before the term truly existed. The song's structure perfectly mirrors the mariner's journey, galloping riffs like ocean waves, a slow, eerie midsection led by Steve Harris's bass like a ghost ship, and then the violent return of the storm. Bruce Dickinson doesn't just sing, he narrates. His voice transforms from a soaring storyteller to the desperate whisper of the cursed sailor. The use of direct quotes from the poem, water, water, everywhere, nor any drop to drink, lent a literary depth rarely seen in heavy metal. For a generation of teenagers, this was likely their first exposure to classic English literature, not in a classroom, but blasting from their speakers at ear-splitting volume. This song proved that metal wasn't just sound and fury. It could be a vehicle for grand, complex, and emotional storytelling. From the stormy seas, we head to an even vaster space, the cosmos and its mythologies. as seen through the lens of one of rock's greatest guitarists.
Everywhere, all the dogs to shrink.
Number 13. Rime of the Ancient Mariner, Iron Maiden. We leap forward to 1984. Punk had come and gone, and new wave was dominating the charts. But in another corner of the musical universe, Iron Maiden was flying the flag for the new wave of British heavy metal, and they were unafraid of complexity. Rime of the Ancient Mariner, based on Samuel Taylor Coleridge's 18th-century poem, was their most audacious statement yet. In a world of 3-minute hits, Steve Harris and company created a nearly 14-minute epic, a metal opera that retold a literary classic. This is a perfect example of progressive metal before the term truly existed. The song's structure perfectly mirrors the mariner's journey, galloping riffs like ocean waves, a slow, eerie midsection led by Steve Harris's bass like a ghost ship, and then the violent return of the storm. Bruce Dickinson doesn't just sing, he narrates. His voice transforms from a soaring storyteller to the desperate whisper of the cursed sailor. The use of direct quotes from the poem, water, water, everywhere, nor any drop to drink, lent a literary depth rarely seen in heavy metal. For a generation of teenagers, this was likely their first exposure to classic English literature, not in a classroom, but blasting from their speakers at ear-splitting volume. This song proved that metal wasn't just sound and fury. It could be a vehicle for grand, complex, and emotional storytelling. From the stormy seas, we head to an even vaster space, the cosmos and its mythologies, as seen through the lens of one of rock's greatest guitarists. Number 12. Voodoo, Chile, Jimi Hendrix. Back to 1968, just a few months after In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. But this is another world entirely. If Iron Butterfly created a hypnotic loop, Jimi Hendrix, with Voodoo, Chile, opened a portal to another dimension. This isn't a meticulously arranged song. It's a captured jam session, lightning in a bottle. Recorded at the record plant in New York, Hendrix invited a small audience into the studio to create the atmosphere of a late-night club. The result is one of the rawest, most vital blues rock performances ever committed to tape. This song is a masterclass in storytelling with a guitar. Steve Winwood of Traffic sits in on organ, laying down a thick, smoky carpet for Hendrix to soar over. Jimi's playing isn't just notes, it's growls, whispers, and cries. He's not playing the guitar, he's speaking through it. The lyrics are a blend of traditional blues tropes and Hendrix's own personal cosmology, where he casts himself as a messenger from another world, born under a bad sign. It's the perfect summary of the Hendrix persona, part Mississippi Delta bluesman, part cosmic astronaut. It's endless because it feels like it could go on forever, each pass of the riff opening up a new avenue for a solo, a new exploration. It's not a tightly structured epic like others on this list, but it is a document of unrepeatable genius, a primal and powerful musical experience. From Hendrix's spiritual space, we move to a very terrestrial one, the American Highway, and a story of progress and decay. Number 11. Telegraph Road, Dire Straits. In 1982, Dire Straits released the album Love Over Gold, and with Telegraph Road, Mark Knopfler proved he wasn't just a masterful guitarist, but one of rock's greatest storytellers. Inspired by Knut Hamsun's novel Growth of the Soil and an actual bus ride on U.S. Route 24, Knopfler wrote a sweeping saga about the birth and death of an American town, encapsulating the American dream and its disillusionment in 14 minutes. The song begins quietly, with synthesizers evoking the silence of a pristine wilderness. Then a man arrives, builds a home, and slowly, a community grows around the Telegraph Road. The music builds in parallel with the story, from gentle opening melodies to a driving rock and roll rhythm as the town thrives, and finally, to an angry explosion as recession hits, the factories close, and it all falls apart. Knopfler uses his guitar like a pen. His solos aren't just for show, they are internal monologues, full of pain and nostalgia. The final 5+ minute solo is one of the most emotional performances of his career, a cry of both desperation and resilience. Telegraph Road is a film and sound, a short novel set to music, It's proof that rock and roll could carry the weight of great literature. Stories of rise and fall are always compelling, but our next entry tells an even more ambitious tale, a fight between the individual and the collective in a dystopian future. Number 10, 2112, Rush. In 1976, Rush was on the brink of being dropped by their label. Their first 3 albums hadn't achieved the commercial success they'd hoped for, and the record company was pressuring them to write shorter, radio-friendly hits. Instead of complying, the Canadian trio did the exact opposite. They gambled everything on a 20-minute concept piece that took up the entire first side of the album. 2112 didn't just save Rush's career, it defined them and created a legion of loyal fans worldwide. Drawing inspiration from Ayn Rand's novella Anthem, drummer and lyricist Neil Peart crafted a sci-fi tale of a future society where individual creativity has been stamped out by the priests of the temples of Syrinx. Our protagonist finds an ancient guitar, discovers music, and tries to share its beauty with the world, only to be rejected and cast out. The song is divided into 7 movements, each a chapter in the story, from the majestic overture to the explosive grand finale. The music of Alex Lifeson and Geddy Lee is in perfect sync with the narrative. Powerful riffs represent oppression, gentle acoustic passages represent personal discovery, and complex solos are the cry of rebellion. 2112 was a philosophical statement. It was an ode to individualism and the power of art. For countless teenagers who felt alienated and misunderstood in the 70s, this was their anthem. From a fight against future conformity, we travel to a literal fight, a chaotic and frantic battle painted by one of progressive rock's most brilliant bands. Number 9, The Gates of Delirium, Yes, 2151. By 1974, Yes were the kings of progressive rock. After masterpieces like Fragile and Close to the Edge, one wondered how much further they could go. The answer was Relayer, a 3-song album whose centerpiece was The Gates of Delirium, a nearly 22-minute monster based on Tolstoy's War and Peace. This wasn't a song about war. This was the sound of war itself. This piece is a challenge to the listener. It begins with melodic, almost serene passages, representing the preparation and belief in the cause of war. Then, it slowly builds into one of the most chaotic, dissonant, and violent instrumental sections ever recorded by a rock band. The middle section, representing the battle, is a full-on sonic assault. Steve Howe's guitar, Chris Squire's bass, and especially Alan White's percussion, which included metal scraps from a junkyard, create a frantic wall of sound. It is not melodic. It is terrifying. It's designed to make you uncomfortable. And then, from the rubble of the battle, an almost total silence. And out of that silence emerges one of the most beautiful melodies John Anderson ever wrote, Soon. It's the moment of peace after the storm, a prayer for harmony. The Gates of Delirium is a bold, uncompromising piece of art. It doesn't try to be pretty, it tries to be true. The controlled madness of Yes is one thing, but another band took chaos to a different level entirely, a level of psychological horror and insanity. Number 8. A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers, Van der Graaf Generator. Now we enter the realm of the truly obscure gems. If Yes were the architects of prog rock, Van der Graaf Generator were the mad poets in its basement. A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers, from their 1971 album Pawn Hearts, isn't a song. It's a fever dream, a psychological play about the solitude, guilt, and encroaching madness of a lighthouse keeper. This is one of the most difficult pieces of music to penetrate, but also one of the most rewarding. The track was pieced together from more than 10 different sections, recorded individually, and then edited together in the studio, a pioneering technique at the time. There is no clear structure. The music shifts abruptly from mournful piano ballads to shrieking saxophone attacks from David Jackson and distorted organ dirges from Hugh Banton. But at the center of it all is Peter Hammill. His voice is an instrument of extreme drama. He doesn't just sing. He screams, whispers, cries, and monologues like a Shakespearean actor on the verge of a breakdown. The lyrics are abstract and impressionistic, painting a picture of a man haunted by the ghosts of those he couldn't save, eventually questioning if he himself is a ghost. A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers is an experience not for the faint of heart. It demands absolute focus. It is the music of existential dread, a masterpiece of unease. From the solitude of a lighthouse, we come to a man who turned personal spectacle into an art form and created one of the greatest double-barreled epics of all time.
Everything about this house is gonna grow and die.
Number 7. Funeral for a Friend / Love Lies Bleeding, Elton John. Note, while shorter than some ranked below it, its high placement is based on its cultural impact and its perfection as a dual-structured masterpiece. Opening the classic 1973 album Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, the 1-2 punch of Funeral for a Friend / Love Lies Bleeding is an artistic statement. It showed the world that Elton John wasn't just a gifted pianist and a hitmaker. He was a composer with a progressive rock vision. The first part, Funeral for a Friend, is a nearly 6-minute instrumental that Elton imagined as the type of music he'd want played at his own funeral. It begins with distant church bells and the sound of wind from an ARP synthesizer, creating a solemn, gothic atmosphere. Then Elton's piano enters, building a theme that is both mournful and majestic, before the full band kicks in for a true rock symphony. And then, without a single break, it segues directly into Love Lies Bleeding, a powerful hard rock anthem about the end of a relationship. That transition is one of the most magical moments in record production history. It's like going from black and white to full Technicolor. Bernie Taupin's lyrics are razor-sharp, and Elton's performance is full of anger and raw energy. Guitarist Davy Johnstone turns in one of his career-best performances. The song pairing is a masterclass in dynamics. It takes the listener from deep introspection to explosive emotion. It set the standard for how to open a double album and prove that pop music could have the depth and complexity of the most ambitious rock. It is a perfect piece of work from start to finish. And speaking of perfection, it's impossible not to mention the band that redefined the concept album and the long-form track. Number 6. Shine on You Crazy Diamond, Pink Floyd. Wish You Were Here, 1975, isn't just an album, it's a eulogy. It's a painful and loving tribute to their friend, founder, and madcap genius, Syd Barrett. And the soul of that album is Shine on You Crazy Diamond, an epic split into 2 halves to bookend the record, totaling over 26 minutes. This isn't a song about absence. It is the embodiment of that absence. Its creation is tied to one of rock's most legendary and tragic stories. During the recording sessions, a portly man with a shaved head and shaved eyebrows wandered silently into the studio. It took the band a long time to realize it was Syd Barrett himself, the very person they were writing the song about. His ghostly appearance haunted the entire recording process and seeped into every note. The song begins with crystalline, lonely synthesizer chords, like distant stars, before David Gilmour's 4-note guitar phrase rings out. Those 4 notes, mournful, haunting, iconic, are one of the most recognizable musical motifs in history. Shine On is a masterpiece of space and mood. It's in no hurry. It lets the music breathe, building layer by slow layer, from Dick Perry's soulful saxophone solos to Gilmour's heart-wrenching guitar work and Richard Wright's keyboard textures. It's a praise, a lament, and a farewell. It's endless, like the cosmos Syd seemed to have drifted into. Shine On was an epic about a person. But a few years earlier, Pink Floyd created another epic, an epic about sound itself. Number 5. Echoes, Pink Floyd. If Wish You Were Here was a work of mature reflection, Metal, 1971, was where Pink Floyd truly found their voice as a cohesive unit. And Echoes, which consumes the entire B-side of the album, is the blueprint for everything they would do later, including The Dark Side of the Moon. The song isn't based on a specific story or concept. It's an exploration of communication, empathy, and connection. It begins with a single piano note played through a Leslie speaker, creating a sonar-like ping. It's the sound of an idea sent out into the void, waiting for a response. Echoes is a stunning example of all four members working in perfect collaboration. Roger Waters' lyrics are philosophical and visual. David Gilmour's guitar is both melodic and powerful. Richard Wright's organ creates vast, open spaces. And Nick Mason's drumming holds it all together with understated grace. The song's so-called funky part is one of their greatest instrumental grooves. But what makes Echoes so unique is this soundscape section in the middle, a strange, terrifying interlude created from Gilmour's guitar screams played through a reversed wah pedal and other sound effects. It feels like a journey to the bottom of the ocean or into deep space. And then, the ping returns, and the song slowly rebuilds, offering a hopeful sense of return. Echoes is a total musical experience. It's not just meant to be heard, it's meant to be felt. Pink Floyd pushed the boundaries of what a band could do in a studio. But another band turned technical complexity into a philosophy. Number 4. Close to the Edge, Yes. In 1972, Yes released their magnum opus, Close to the Edge. While not the longest song on this list, it is arguably the most dense and complex. Loosely inspired by Hermann Hesse's novel Siddhartha, the song is a three-part spiritual journey toward enlightenment. This is the absolute apex of progressive rock, a work of staggering ambition and technical virtuosity. The song opens with deliberate chaos, the sound of birds and running water, and then a ferocious assault of instruments, seemingly all playing in different time signatures. It's the sound of the material world, of the turmoil before stillness is achieved. And then, suddenly, silence, and the beautiful main theme begins. The song's structure is cyclical, beginning and ending with the same sounds, representing the cycle of life and rebirth. Every member of Yes is at the absolute peak of their powers. Chris Squire's bass isn't just a foundation, it's a second lead voice. Rick Wakeman's keyboard work, especially the monumental church organ solo in the middle, is a thing of wonder. Bill Bruford's drumming is impossibly intricate, and John Anderson's ethereal vocals are the guiding thread through this sonic maze. Close to the Edge is not an easy listen on the first try. It demands patience. But once you crack the code, it opens up a world of infinite beauty and complexity. Yes created a spiritual journey, but two bands from later generations would take the concept of the epic to new extremes of technicality and duration. Number 3. Octavarium, Dream Theater. We leap to 2005. Dream Theater, the heirs to the progressive metal throne, released what is for many their magnum opus. Octavarium is a 24-minute, 5-part epic, and it is a love letter to the history of progressive rock itself. This song is a music theory lesson disguised as a metal masterpiece. The concept is brilliantly complex. The entire song is built around the number 8, the octave. It begins on the note F and ends on the note F 1 octave higher, and over its course, it moves through every note in the scale. Each section is filled with musical and lyrical references to the bands that inspired them, from Pink Floyd, Yes, and Genesis to the Beatles. It's like a museum tour of progressive rock, but performed with breathtaking 21st-century virtuosity. The opening section, Someone Like Him, is a clear nod to Shine On You Crazy Diamond. The Full Circle section name-drops classic bands and song titles. John Petrucci delivers one of the greatest guitar solos of his career, a showcase of speed, melody, and pure emotion. Octavarium is a piece by music nerds for music nerds. It's both a tribute to the past and a bold statement about the future of the genre. It feels endless not just because of its length, but because of the rich layers of meaning and reference you can uncover over hundreds of listens. Dream Theater celebrated the Western canon. But on the other side of the world, a band had created an even more ambitious epic, a work of ultimate pain and beauty. Number 2. Art of Life, ex-Japan. This is perhaps the most obscure gem on this list for a Western audience, but it is one of the most incredible musical achievements ever recorded. Art of Life, 1993, by the legendary visual K band ex-Japan is not just a song. It's a rock symphony, a tragic opera, and a therapy session rolled into one. Written entirely by leader, drummer, and pianist Yoshiki, this 29-minute piece is a journey into the darkest corners of his psyche, chronicling his struggles with illness, the pain of his father's suicide, and his own suicidal thoughts. Art of Life is a work of extreme contrasts. It shifts between ferocious speed/heavy metal sections, with dueling guitar riffs and relentless drumming, to heartbreakingly beautiful classical piano ballads. The centerpiece of the song is a nearly 9-minute piano solo, a display of both technical virtuosity and raw, naked emotion. It is not a show-off solo. It is an internal dialogue, a battle between hope and despair. Vocalist Toshi's performance is equally chameleonic, moving from furious screams to vulnerable, wounded singing. The recording process took years, and at one point Yoshiki physically collapsed in the studio. That pain can be heard in every note. Art of Life is an incredibly intense and challenging listening experience. It's proof that music can be a tool to confront the deepest of traumas and transform them into something beautiful and powerful. And now, we arrive at number 1. A piece that wasn't just long, wasn't just complex, but was also a joke, a satire, and ultimately, the pinnacle of the very thing it was mocking. Number 1. Thick as a Brick, Jethro Tull. In 1972, Ian Anderson and Jethro Tull did the unthinkable. Annoyed that critics had called their previous album, Aqualung, a concept album, Anderson decided he would create the mother of all concept albums. The result was Thick as a Brick, a single song stretching across nearly 44 minutes, occupying both sides of the vinyl LP. This wasn't just an epic, it was a piece of performance art, a brilliant hoax. The album was presented as a long-form poem written by a fictional 8-year-old prodigy named Gerald Little Milton Bostock, set to music by Jethro Tull. The album cover was designed as a full-size local newspaper, complete with stories, ads, and a review of the poem itself. It was all a sophisticated satire of the pomposity of progressive rock and the critics who analyzed it. But the beautiful irony is that, while mocking the genre, Jethro Tull accidentally created its most perfect example. Thick as a Brick is a staggering tapestry of sound, weaving together folk rock, hard rock, jazz, and classical elements. It shifts through countless musical themes, time signatures, and moods with unbelievable seamlessness. Ian Anderson's flute becomes the voice of the protagonist, playful, wise, and sometimes angry. Its structure isn't linear but cyclical, with musical themes appearing, disappearing, and returning in new forms. It is both intellectually complex and emotionally engaging. Thick as a Brick was a bold, funny, and ultimately masterful statement. It is the high-water mark of rock ambition, an achievement that has never been duplicated. It stands at number 1 not just for its length, but for its audacity, its intelligence, and its flawless execution of the wildest of ideas. And so, our journey through the endless epics of rock has come to a close. But these melodies have not. They persist, not just on weathered vinyl or digital files, but in our very memories and our cultural DNA. They are auditory ghosts, echoes from a time that is gone but never truly left us, reminding us of an era when artists dared to dream big and dared to fail spectacularly. So what, in the end, is the true legacy of a song? Is it not chart position, but the ability to create a universe in 20 minutes? Is it the power to make us, nearly 50 years later, feel the exact loneliness of the lighthouse keeper, the euphoria of the stadium, or the complexity of a genius's soul? For me, that is the answer. Let me know in the comments, what epic track defined your life? And which one do you believe has truly stood the test of time? Thank you for reliving these memories with me.